There's so many different types of hiking footwear in the market today that it can get very confusing and overwhelming to know which ones to buy. In this video, I'll be comparing the trail runners and hiking boots and talking about the similarities and differences so you guys can make a better informed decision. Now let's start with hiking boots. Now hiking boots will always give your feet a lot more ankle support, are known to be more durable, and will definitely give your feet the stability and support on rough terrains, whether it's mud, sand, slippery surfaces, rocks, obstacles. That's why most people will gravitate to a good pair of hiking boots more often. Now, trail runners are significantly more breathable. They offer good cushion and comfort and will definitely benefit you on long hikes, long trails, and or if you're running on the trail. Now let's talk about traction. Hiking boot will always look a lot more aggressive than a trail runner, and the hiking boot will definitely have bigger lugs and bigger tread, which gives it its aggressive look. And the hiking boot will definitely outperform, in my opinion, the trail runner when it comes to slippery surfaces or various terrain, whether it's wet, whether it's muddy, whether it's sand, whether it's snow. The aggressive tread on the hiking boot will give you the grip and the response that you're looking for on the trail. Now, trail runners may not look as aggressive as the hiking boot, but the trail runner will still give you decent traction and will definitely help you get outdoors and give you decent traction on slippery surfaces, whether dry or wet, but in my opinion will not give you the grip or the stability that the hiking boot will give you. Now, when we talk about good ankle support, we don't always mean that, well, the shoe or the footwear itself is gonna protect your feet against any type of injury, because you might still roll an ankle, you might still get injured with a pair of hiking boots, but there's maybe a less probability to roll your ankle or injure your feet while wearing hiking boots, just because it's a lot more rigid, it has more protection, right? That's where the ankle support comes from. But again, if you're going for the trail runner, which is a lot more flexible, it doesn't offer as much support as a hiking boot. You can definitely train your ankles, or just how you can train your body to get better at hiking, you can train your ankles to get stronger, to get better at going over obstacles. So if you pretty much train your ankles for it, you might make up for the lack of stability from the trail runner that the hiking boots give you. But when you gotta really know yourself and know what your capabilities are, if you know you have strong ankles, you've never had past experiences with rolling your ankles on sketchy trails, then trail runners might work for you. But if you're someone that's more prone to rolling your ankles or more clumsy, like my wife, for example, a pair of hiking boots will definitely be a lot better, just because they'll give you a lot more confidence and the protection that you need on the trail. Now, in terms of versatility, hiking boots definitely outperform the trail runners, especially when carrying heavy loads, just because it gives your feet a lot more stability, more protection. And when you're carrying your heavy backpack or you're out backpacking, your feet will definitely thank you, because being in a stable hiking boot will not pretty much force your feet to overwork as they would while wearing trail runners. However, if you're a fast hiker or you like to move fast or you're just fast paced, trail runners are your way to go, just because they're significantly lighter, a lot more flexible, so they'll definitely help and aid into your advantage when moving fast. Just remember that the extended use of a lighter and unsupportive footwear for extended period of times when you're carrying heavy load can lead to some issues in your feet or your legs, It can lead to irritation of the bottom of your feet to your knees. So always make sure to choose accordingly, especially if you're carrying heavy loads and you're going to be in the outdoors for an extended period of time. If you decide to choose trail runners, make sure to work on strengthening your ankles. Make sure you work on your balance, just to prevent some of the feet injuries that are out there. Now, in terms of seasons or weather conditions, a pair of hiking boots is usually waterproof. Again, don't quote me on that. Not all hiking boots are waterproof, but most hiking boots will give your feet more protection from the elements, they'll definitely help keep your feet dry. They'll help keep your feet warm, especially in cold conditions. Whereas a trail runner, since it's a lot more breathable and made of different material, which makes it lighter, will not give your feet the protection that the hiking boots will in terms of, keeping your feet dry or keeping your feet warm. A good pair of hiking boots will always keep your feet dry from wet conditions. Just always make sure that in the winter you pair them with a good pair of wool socks and a good pair of gaiters, just to make sure that snow or water doesn't seep in through the top of the hiking boots. Now, hiking boots will always be a lot more rigid, especially when you first purchase them. If you pay attention, the hiking boot will not be as flexible as a trail runner. And that's where pretty much the good stability and support and protection for your feet comes from, is because it's going to be a lot more rigid than a trail runner. So this hiking boot will definitely give your feet a lot more protection out on the trail. And of course, the trail runner is highly flexible, right? You can bend it, twist it, and it definitely feels a lot more flexible. And this is where the breathability, the flexibility, and the lightweight comes from. So this type of footwear will definitely give you the speed on the trail, whether you're walking fast or you're running, trail runners. But this is why the trail runner will not give you as much protection or stability as a hiking boot. So at the end of the day, you have to trade one for the other. So if you're looking for protection, hiking boot is the way to go. But if you're looking for speed, then you're gonna have to give up that protection and go for something a lot more rigid and a little heavier and go with the trail runner, right? But in terms of protection, you want to go with the hiking boot. So you got to give up the lightweight and the flexibility and take on the protection for your feet, especially if it's a sketchy trail. One important factor to always consider when buying new footwear is the break-in period. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make when going on a hike, is purchasing a pair of hiking boots right before their hike. Hiking boots will always require a break-in period, so always make sure you're not wearing a new pair of hiking boots when you're going on a hike. Always make sure you wear them a couple different times, whether you wear them out in the community or just go to the grocery store, but wear them a couple different times, so you pretty much get a feel for them and the boots adapt, especially when they're leather, right? You got to give the boots enough time for them to stretch and mold to your feet. That way you're not on a long hike and you're pretty much, your feet are yelling at you, right? You're uncomfortable. That's one of the worst feelings, is to be injured or having aches and pains while on the trail. You won't be able to enjoy that hike as much as you would if you would have given yourself that break-in period for your hiking boots. On the other hand, trail runners don't really require a break-in period. They're usually comfortable straight out of the box. I've never really had to really break in the trail runners. Not to say that I bought them and I went on a trail. I've always given myself enough time to break in any footwear before going on a long hike, just because, I've learned from past experience. When I was first got into hiking, I did that mistake and my feet hated me for it. And of course, you don't want to go back, or you think it's the shoe or the boot, but you didn't give your feet and the boots enough time to adapt. At the end of the day, the best hiking footwear will definitely depend on your own personal preference and the adventure you're pretty much trying to go on. Because if you're trying to go on a long hike, strenuous hike, rough terrain, sketchy terrain, always consider a pair of hiking boots. But if you're familiar with the trail and you know that, or you're trying to move fast, very fast paced, and want something lighter, more breathable, a trail runner is definitely a good option. So if you prioritize good ankle support, durability, and stability, hiking boot is the way to go. But if you're looking for comfort, breathability, and flexibility and or speed, then trail runners might just work for you. Okay guys, that's it for this video. If you guys found the video helpful, or if you guys think I missed anything, please let me know down below. Thanks, guys.